No cows were hurt in the making of this video.
Hi, so in this video what we're going to cover is branding your product on Amazon, and some of the quick reasons why we might do that is instantly a product with a brand or a logo on it is going to look better and more professional than the other listings on Amazon. It may increase the perceived value of the product for the customer, even if they're searching for something where normally the brand isn't so important and they're comparing mainly on price and image. If you have two products which are very, very similar, but one seems to have a logo, looks professionally finished, has nice images, it's always going to be perceived higher value than a non-branded bad image product side by side. So it's always worth adding a logo. It's very cheap. We're talking cents usually to add a logo. And also, if you've got multiple products, past customers who've bought one of your items before may choose you over another because they're more familiar with your brand and your product. Okay, so what we're going to do is run through some of the different ways that you can add a logo onto a product. It really depends on the material of the product, the construction. So it's best to ask your factory or your supplier what methods they can use to brand your item. We'll run through a few just to give you some ideas, but ask them for photos of what they've done before, how they've branded for other customers. Also ask them for different images of different packaging styles and designs they've done. You'll get some different ideas on what you can do with it. By far the most expensive way to brand is to include your logo within the actual tooling or the mold of the item. So say it's a plastic item and you're asking them to customize the branding and the logo and the item for you, and they include the logo within the tooling and the actual shape of the mold in which the plastic or the metal is poured. The reason that's the most expensive is because that tooling can now only be used for your product. Also, they have to create a tooling specifically just for you. They can't now use that for other customers as well. And toolings can run from a few $1,000s to tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars. So initially, one of the best ways to get started with branding is simply to print the logo, add an insert card, silkscreen the logo on. Just go for the cheapest, quickest method for your first order. And then later on, you can consider customizing the logo more, customizing the product more. But at the beginning, we just want to keep it simple, keep it cheap, quick and easy, test the product in the market. Then if it's selling well, you can upgrade the packaging, the logo, the branding over time. There's no reason why you can't keep improving your listing. So, hot silver foil, and this will work on plastic, it will work on wood, it will work on certain types of metals, works on paper, will work on certain types of fabric as well. And all it is a silver foil that's stamped onto the product. And this can be used in combination with an emboss, which I'll show you shortly, or a debossed logo. And it's a nice effect, and you can do it in several different colors, from silver to gold to red to green. Very simple, very cheap. It might be a good idea to do a simple black card with the silver foil, as you see in the image here, and use that as an insert card to go with your product as a starting point. This is what I was referring to by putting the logo into the mold or the tooling. If you're doing a silicone item, you could consider adding the logo within the tooling of the product itself, as you can see here. But now this tooling belongs to this one customer, and they may have paid several $1,000s to have this iPhone case with their logo included. And if you're only ordering 1,000 units, if you're paying $3,000 for the tooling, you've just added $3 a unit to the cost just for a logo. This is only really worth it once you have a steady business built up with larger volume orders. I would say stick to simpler, cheaper methods to begin with. So this would be our in-tooling logo. And it's a separate color, so it's an extra process again, because they have to inject the black and they have to inject the red. So this is going to be quite an expensive way to brand the product. For certain fabric products, bags, you could do a stitched in printed logo. Then you can have a stitched in fabric logo, stitched in plastic logo. The material itself can be plastic or paper, or it can be another fabric and then printed on. And this is the print onto this label here is a silkscreen print onto what looks like a fabric stitched onto this bag. So if you're doing a bag product, certain fabric items, this is quite a good cheap way to brand, and you're talking 5 to 15 cents depending on the size and the complexity of the print. And actually you could get that down to 1 or 2 cents or even less depending on the final specifications of the label. Metal tag. So this is quite a popular way to add a logo to certain products, and that is to have a custom metal logo in a metal alloy, and this can then be glued or tagged onto certain products. Really depends on your item as to whether this will go. So this would work well with certain fabric items. It could be added to certain metal items as well, plastic items, wood items. Again, it depends on, if you're doing something like a golf club, it's very narrow. So to stick a tag like this onto the curve is going to be very difficult. Whereas if you have another product which has a big flat surface, this type of logo might work well because it will stick on. The thing with all of the logo types where you're gluing something or stitching something is to then consider the quality control, because anything that's glued on can also fall off as well, or be easily knocked and come off. So really, I think the best way to do the logo initially is to print it onto the surface of the item, or if it's fabric, to stitch on a tag, and then that way it's very secure, it's not going to come off, it looks good, it's simple, it's cheap. So here we have an example of printing the logo onto a backing card. And that backing card can go into the product. You could also print the same way onto a paper carton and put the product unbranded into the paper carton and just have the logo on the outside on the carton. Another example is sticker. So the famous Apple sticker. You could include your logo on the sticker and then stick that onto your product. This works well with metal, plastic items, wood items. Fabric, it won't work so well. Stitching would be much better. But this is a cheap, easy way to brand something like an iPhone case, where you want to customize it with your logo. You could put the logo on the inside of the case. Just really simple, cheap. You're talking less than a cent per sticker. And then you have to factor in the fact that the factory is going to charge you labor for adding it on. But again, this is still within the 1 cent limit for this type of logo. So the Apple sticker there, really nice way to finish a product. And then the second order you do, you can then consider having it printed on in a different way or make it more permanent. But there's no reason why you can't just start with a simple sticker. The sticker is going to take 3 or 4 days to manufacture. Can be added on by the factory at the end of the production process. The only thing you need to watch is the alignment of the sticker, making sure that it's straight onto the product, that it's well stuck on, that the glue's strong enough. All possible quality issues that can come up later from using a sticker as a logo. So here we have both embossed and debossed logo. So embossed means literally just pushing out, and it can be pushing out the paper. If the item is made of plastic, you can have the plastic pushed out so that your logo has a texture to it. Or you can be debossed, so stamped into it. And this looks really great on paper. So I would recommend doing something like this onto a simple backing card or the packaging carton paper card box, and branding in this way. I mean, it can look great. This is debossed, so it's stamped down to create the logo effect. This can be done on fabric, wood, plastic, metal. The cost varies massively from product to product and the exact design of the logo, and whether or not the factory can include a extra piece of tooling within the original mold and tooling for the item without creating a whole new tooling to create this effect. So here we have embossed on paper, And another very popular technique is to silk screen a logo on. And all this does, and this works great on fabric, plastic, wood, metal. All it is really is there's a cutout of your logo. The worker will apply ink by passing it once over, and then what you'll have is just the logo will be printed directly on through the gap. And this can be used for 2 or 3 color logos too, but each pass through is additional cost. So if you have 3 colors, they have to do 3 separate silk screens in this way. It looks something like this. So the ink will then get pushed through onto the product to brand it. And I would recommend Silkscreen as one of the best ways to start. Just keep to simple white or a simple single color Silkscreen. You're talking a couple of cents, 2 to 5 cents, depending on the logo complexity and size. Very easy to add on. It's proven it's not gonna flake off. It's not gonna come off easily. You do need to double check if you're putting it onto fabric, but I mean, Silkscreen's used to brand t-shirts too, so it's very universal, cheap, easy, quick way to do it. Nearly any factory can add a Silkscreen logo to pretty much any product. It really depends on the size and shape of the product, but 99% of the time you'll be able to add a Silkscreen logo for a few cents. Hot stamp. So the logo is stamped directly onto the product, either ink, foil, special type of, what's the name of the product? A special type of a liquid ink which will hold on to the product, and that won't wash off easily, that won't scratch off easily. It's very similar to the Silkscreen logo. Stitch the logo. So here we have the text is stitched, and this looks like this whole logo has also been embroidered on. So this works great for certain fabric products. You can stitch onto plastic too. So I mean, if you had let's say you had a motorbike cover, you can still stitch on the logo in the corner, for example, and that's a very nice effect. It gets quite expensive if the logo is multicolor and big like this one. So it's something to watch out for. Hangtag. Quick and easy way, and there's no reason you can't use a hang tag or a hang tag with metal or plastic items. Yes, they're usually used for fabric, but you could use a sticker to hold the hang tag to your item, and it's a quick, easy way to brand it, and it looks very, very nice, very premium. Just adding value to the product, making it look more professional, and improving the overall look of the product as well. Another way to brand would just be to put your product into a clear plastic bag and have a paper hang tag, usually stapled on, as you can see here, and then put your logo, your design onto there. Very simple, very easy way. An alternative way would be just to have the clear plastic bag, which is usually referred to as a PP or poly bag in China, and to put a backing card. So put the same card, but put it into the card behind the product, again branded. So that's a very, very quick, cheap, easy way, because one of these cards is going to cost you cents. The bag costs less than a cent. The whole thing is going to be 5 to 10 cents maximum, and you can very easily brand any product. And again, you're not putting the logo or the brand directly on the product itself, but on the paper card that's with it, sliding into the bag. And the backing card will give the packaging some rigidity as well, so it just looks nicer and protects the product. Another way to do it is to have a hanging product off a backing card. So this is a solid paper card that's been printed, the product's been attached with elastic, or you could have a blister, which is basically plastic covering over the top as well, and it looks good. Quick, easy way to brand a product. The backing card is going to be 5 to 10 cents maximum. You may need to order a couple of thousand of them, but you could always keep 1,000 at the factory for your next order. And this is a really quick, cheap way to brand as well. Again, here they've branded the tooling of the product, so this is expensive. But just if you had a product where you don't have your logo on the product itself and used a similar hang tag or backing card, that works very well. And then you would need to add a plastic bag to cover this, a poly bag, sealed to protect the product, and also I think for Amazon's prep requirements. Another simple way to brand is just to include a thank you card, and here they're giving away 25% discount on your next order. You don't have to do that, but you could add your logo here, slide that card in with your item within the bag it's in, within the box it's in. Super easy, quick way to brand the product, and it looks really, really nice for your clients. So here we have blister packaging. So it's a sealed plastic with a backing card inside, and then in this case it's a memory card on the inside as well. That's one way to do it. The alternative is to have the paper box. The memory card would be here in the center, and the plastic would then be around it that way. So either the paper can be inside the blister, or you can have a blister and then the paper surrounding the blister for effect. Blister will run you between 10 and 30 cents, but the main cost of it is the setup, the tooling of the shape of the blister. Usually you would have to order 2,000 to 5,000 units for it to be reasonably cost effective. But it's a very good way, secure way to hold the product for transport as well. Another way is to laser etch onto wood, for example, onto certain metals, the logo. You can see that here, different effects of the laser etching onto metal. So this can have a really nice finish and effect. And it's relatively quick and cheap and easy to add on, talking cents per logo again. Another way to brand your product is to just brand the box it's in. To have in this case, this is a solid gift box. I would recommend a folding paper carton because it's much cheaper, much easier. These gift boxes tend to be quite heavy, bulky, and expensive. You're talking between 30 cents and a couple of dollars depending on your design. Whereas a paper gift carton can be from 10 to 50 cents. It's just slightly thinner, lighter, machine made, whereas this has to be hand wrapped unless the shape is very standard. Here we have an example of an insert card which you can add with your packaging as well. They've added paper tissue, which is a cheap but nice touch for certain items. So if you're doing what might be considered a gift item, to add an insert card and the tissue and then put it in a gift box, great way. Here they've branded the inside of the gift box as well, but just the tissue and the insert card already looks great on its own. So that's another way you can brand your item. And here we have a metal tag that's been glued onto the surface of the item with metal letters. All of these have been made individual tooling, so this would be quite an expensive way to brand. But for certain higher value goods, it's a great way to brand. So hopefully this video gave you some ideas of different ways that a product could be branded and finished. As I recommended at the start, the best way to determine what's the right logo for your particular product is just to ask the factory what they normally do. Ask for prices for 2 or 3 different options and just compare. But I would strongly recommend for your first order, your first item, go with something simple like a printed on logo or simply an insert card with a logo on it. It lets you move faster, it's cheap. If you want to change things later, it's very easy. Whereas if you've made the tooling with your logo inside, if you then later want to adjust the size or the shape or the text of the logo, it's very difficult. So simple printed insert card or gift box is probably the best way to start. This video will self-destruct in 5 seconds.